barefoot four and shadow long across the limestone ground. A young man with an old man's soul, looking for what can't be found. Born where the oak trees whisper secrets to the mountain mist, with a banjo on his shoulder and a spirit that won't desist. He's walking lines of the ancient pines where the static starts to hum, listening for a heartbeat like a slow and heavy drum. From the hollows of the buffalo to the ridges of the white, Jeb is tracking shadows through the middle of the night. He's a backwoods boogeyman on a frequency of gold, searching for the stories that the elders never told. Between the dog man's howl and the howler's lonely cry, he's chasing down the phantoms underneath the Ozark sky. He's chasing down the phantoms underneath the Ozark sky. He's got a collection of the copper stills from the days of illegal grain, rust and ghost of Mountain Dew and the scent of falling rain. Dreaming of a 40 Hudson with the fenders wide and low, to haul his gear through timber where the heavy cedars grow. He don't care for the radio or the hits of modern day. He wants the scratchy vinyl where the lonesome fiddles play. Just a cosmic outlaw boy with a deep and restless mind, leaving all the concrete and the city noise behind. He's a backwoods boogeyman on a frequency of gold, searching for the stories that the elders never told. Between the dog man's howl and the howler's lonely cry, he's chasing down the phantoms underneath the Ozark sky. Yeah, he's chasing down the phantoms underneath the Ozark sky.
Hey, hello, welcome back to the Backwoods Boogeyman Podcast. I am your host, Jeb. As always, I have returned from the grave. This is the first episode I've recorded in like the last 2 weeks that wasn't recorded at like 11 p.m. So it's pretty nice. I'm not completely exhausted yet, but anyway, I'll apologize this week just like I did last week for the week before that, because that was kind of a crappy episode. I thought I had more lined up for that, and by the time I ended up getting to record it, and then I had issues and I lost half of what I was going to record, and I just said hell with it. Maybe I'll find that some other time and do that again. But that didn't happen last week, so that was kind of a crappy episode. Slightly less crappy than the week before that, because that one was terrible. That was really bad, and I apologize. But anyway, probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode today, because I'm going to be on the Cemetery Shrooms podcast just after I'm done recording this. So I'm, busy man. But see, have I done anything worth complaining about? I was in Illinois yesterday. That sucked. That was, it was Illinois. What can you expect? But I'm kidding. But the part of being in Illinois, it's their gas is 50 cents cheap or more expensive, and that made me feel very superior, and it really wasn't that different from a lot of towns I'm used to. The part of it that I was in, not having to go through St. Louis, that was horrible. I hate St. Louis, but it was nice that East St. Louis is a lot smaller. Granted, it's a lot crappier, because it's in Illinois. Not that St. Louis isn't pretty crappy already, but that's just going to show how much crappier East St. Louis is. But anyway, the nice thing about it is you're through it fast. But and you can pretend that you didn't have to just go through East St. Louis. But anyway, it really wasn't that different from a lot of the small towns and whatnot that I'm used to, except all the roads were straight. It's like, there are no hills here, so it's very strange. But anyway, setting that aside, it seems like I have become a charity. I work out of the goodness of my heart. I did something for free last week, and it still wasn't good enough. So like, hey, go ahead, take that gift horse to the dentist and make me pay for it. Whatever. But yeah. Anyway, and something cool about Venmo is it's like having money, but not actually having it. Like, wow, this is so cool. That's worthless. Thank you. Wow. Okay, you could have given me this in like beaver pelts or something. I would have enjoyed that more. That would have been better. But you just you paid me with nothing. Pretty much how Venmo works. I hate cashless crap. I despise it. But anyway, so that's another real hack off for me. It grinds my gears, as they say. But anyway, you didn't come here to hear about whatever I talked about. You came here to hear about me talk about other things, which I will be talking about. Did that sound like I had a stroke? Probably. So, let's get into it, shall we? And in honor of, this is going to be a Tales of Terror volume, whatever volume it is, I can't remember anymore. But anyway, I thought in honor of going to Smellanoy, I would include a couple Smellanoy stories, and hopefully there's somebody listening to me from Illinois that's really annoyed by how I make fun of them. But yeah, I would make fun of Kansas more. It's just that Kansas is farther away, thankfully, because nobody wants to be close to Kansas. But anyway, so our first story comes to us from Southern Illinois. These are, of course, as always, from Phantoms and Monsters. I'll read the title. I try to always read the title, that way you can find them yourself if you want or whatever. Sometimes I don't like reading it at first because it spoils the surprise of it. I was trying to think of another word for surprise, but I failed. Anyway, Southern Illinois werewolf encounter. Child witness recalls terrifying cryptid canine attack. Good alliteration there. Very fun. Witness report. I'm sure most people laugh when they hear stories like this, but I just can't. I was face to face with what I could only describe as a werewolf in 1987 here in Southern Illinois. I was only 10 years old, but I knew what a big dog looked like. At that time, we actually owned a huge St. Bernard, and this thing dwarfed him. I was walking alone down a road that ran alongside some thick woods when I heard movement in the brush. I stopped and looked towards the noise, and to my absolute horror, a huge, black, wolf-looking head came out of the brush, and it was staring right at me. I don't know if this thing was on 2 legs or 4 legs at first, but it was taller than I was. I was only about 4.5 feet tall at the time. Suddenly, it came bursting out of the woods towards me, and I thought I was dead. I don't know exactly what happened after that. Obviously, it didn't grab me, but all I can remember from that moment was that thing right in my face. And then it wasn't. My mom remembers seeing me running home with a look of terror on my face. So she ran to meet me outside. She knew something bad had happened, but she didn't know what it was. I just lost my place. That was very smooth. Anyway, she didn't know what it was. She says I was shaking uncontrollably and I had wet myself, and I kept saying, "A werewolf just tried to take me." She says she still doesn't know what I encountered, but I was a tough kid who was always outside, and I wasn't prone to making up stories. She also remembers that day I brought home a book from the school library titled Meet the Werewolf, and became obsessed with anything related to werewolves. I wouldn't go outside for a long time after that, even when all the other kids were outside. The next year, we moved to a city. I read that weird, I apologize. Anyway, the next year, we moved to a city about 100 miles away, and I eventually got back to normal. When I was 18, I moved back to the same rural town and have lived here ever since. It's a small town on Rend Lake in Jefferson County, Illinois. There's a Jefferson County here, but it's not in Illinois. That was very informative, wasn't it? I knew what I saw, and I will never forget its face. It was not a dog. I still go into the woods quite a bit alone, and sometimes I get a little worried. But I always carry a gun just in case, to be safe when I'm alone on rural areas, especially because these dogmen things are real. I don't know why I stumbled all over that, but anyway. My late wife also had a daytime encounter in 2001 with what she called a 7-foot-tall black werewolf standing upright. This happened only about 5 miles from where I had my encounter. The only difference was that she was driving and had the relative safety of being inside a car. Her sighting proved to me that these things do exist and are in our area. At least I know to be careful when I'm in the woods, instead of just being like everyone else who doesn't have a clue until they're face to face with one of these things. It is scary to know that they're real, but I think it's better to be aware of them so that I can take precautions when I'm in the woods. I tell anyone who will listen, even though some people laugh. But those who know me best know that I'm not crazy and I do not make up stories. They believe me. I think telling them may keep them out of harm's way, or at least make them more cautious about being alone. Also, my uncle had a Bigfoot encounter in 1981 near the outskirts of the Shawnee National Forest. He never went back and is still afraid to go outside after dark if there are any woods around. He is 60 now, and he's still scared of, quote, the things that don't exist. He's a huge guy himself, but he's terrified of seeing that thing again. The funny thing is that he actually laughed when I told him about my werewolf-looking thing that almost got me. I think he thought I was joking at first, but I told him it was just like the Bigfoot that he imagined, and he changed his tune. He said it was probably a Bigfoot that I saw, but it was most certainly not. It was a giant black wolf that was taller than me, and not some gorilla-looking thing. And that is the end of that story, but didn't leave an initial. There's usually an initial or initials. It's like from S or from B or BB or SB, some alphabet soup or something. But anyway. So he's, bumming along, sees this thing poke its head out, and then lunge at him. He thinks, oh, well, I'm going to meet Jesus. And then all of a sudden it's gone. So, could be, for some reason, it just decided it didn't want to eat him. Could be, also, here, I'm gonna reach into the woo right here, go do a 180 into, yes, it could be a flesh and blood creature, but what if it's fairies? Because what if it's fairies that, for whatever reason, I don't know where exactly he was. I don't think he said anything. I'm kind of skipping back through it here. Just down a road that ran alongside, so I don't know. He could be walking down I-70. He could be, walking on a gravel path for all I know, but it's weird that this thing kind of jumps him and then just vanishes. Kind of seems non-physical, maybe, I don't know. But then, it says, like, what was it, 30 years later, his wife sees something, when she's driving, whatever, and then his uncle had seen a Bigfoot, and there are quite a few Bigfoot sightings from southern Illinois, Little Egypt, stuff like that. But I know I have done an Illinois episode, I think, about, I don't remember if that was just like weird crap from Illinois, whatever that I found on Fams and Monsters, or if that was about something in particular. But I'm pretty sure I did an Illinois episode. But there's a lot of crap that comes out of Illinois for some reason. So, and of course with the Chicago Mothman and all that, something else I need to do episodes on, because that's going to be mini episodes. That is going to definitely be a multi-parter, because there's just so freaking much. But I've actually got one in here I'm going to read, also from Illinois, that I was going to set aside to put into that, but I realized I already have probably 10 hours worth of crap from, Chicago Mothman and Chicago Mothman-esque things seen in Illinois. So I just decided to throw it in here to give you another little taste of Illinois. But anyway, how about moving on to this one? Is definitely going to be the cover image of this. I'm going to take this picture and turn it into the cover image, because this is creepy as heck, and it makes me very unhappy that I can't really tell if it's real. But I don't want to get on a AI rant, so I'm just gonna not talk about that and just assume that it's real, because I want it to be real. But I assume if you have spent any kind of time, looking into stuff like this, or even, just watching some of the dumb videos on YouTube about, scariest things caught on trail camera or whatever. I have watched quite a few of those, but and then I just kind of got disenchanted with them because everything turned into AI slop. But we're not going to talk about that. And anyway, there is this picture. I've heard two different stories as to where it came from. One was that it was in Finland, and the other, I think it was like South Carolina or something like that. The Finland story was what I had heard originally. It never really made a lot of sense to me, but I heard not too long or too far back from something else that, oh no, this picture is actually from South Carolina or something like that. And but anyway, it is like, if you Google up pale crawler or crawler trail cam, it's probably going to be the first thing that pops up. And it is this creepy little bastard. It's probably why I hate these things so much. Creepy little bastard staring at this trail camera, and I think it's from like 2011 or something like that. It seems like. But anyway, this thing, it's all nasty and emaciated and just vile looking. Excuse me, I just hate him. But it's got its mouth open. It's all looking. That's freaking. I don't like it. I don't like it very much at all. But guess what? I found another picture just like that, kind of, except maybe creepier. That one might be worse, just because it was the OG, as they say. It was the original. But it has had a remake. Creepy Trail Camera Picture Volume 2. I've been trying to let this page load, and it hasn't loaded yet, and it's making me very angry, because I already edited out some of my ranting that maybe you'll get to hear at the end about this. Maybe I'll edit this out too. I don't know. Didn't edit it out. But anyway, I did get that page to load now, and pale crawler humanoid captured on trail cams in rural Hillsborough County, Florida. And says, includes images. Let's see. Should I read this all creepy like? Date, autumn 2015 and spring 2018. That's not very creepy. I don't know what kind of voice I was trying to go for there, but anyway, I received the following trail camera images from a hunter who lives in rural Hillsborough County, Florida. He had been setting out trail cams for the last 8 years to monitor and track the movement of white-tailed deer on his property. Beginning in 2014, some of his cameras started going missing or were found destroyed. This continued for months, but he was unable to capture any image of what was responsible. Then, in autumn of 2015, one of the cameras captured an image of a pale, emaciated, humanoid figure. The image appears to show a hairless or nearly hairless being crouched low to the ground with an extremely thin body, elongated limbs, and a head posture unlike any animal or any typical wildlife normally seen on trail cameras. And yes, it is, and hopefully I will be able to use this as the cover image. And if I did, you'll know it's nasty looking. I'm looking at it. You should be looking at it if it's the cover image. We're looking at it together right here. Overcoming space and time to look at this nasty, nasty, nasty little jerk. In the spring of 2018, additional images were captured in the same general area. These images appear to show a thin, pale figure moving through the darkness in a low, crawling posture. The form is difficult to identify, but the body shape, limb length, and overall appearance are unusual enough that the hunter forwarded the images for review. And these aren't as good because it's not freaking right up in your face. It's so skanky. It is just grody. But I've kind of seen some pictures similar to this, where it's, like one of these nasty little skinny jerks running around and just being a little jerky idiot, and it's all, it's just, I don't like it. But it's all skinny and it's got these long arms and long legs, and one of them it's like looking back. It's so skiffy, I do not like it. In my book, The Meme Humanoids, Modern Myths or Real Monsters, I discuss the detailed reports of explained, unexplained, just say all the words that aren't in here, you idiot, sightings and encounters with what many people now refer to as pale crawlers. In the preamble, I note that approximately a decade ago, an incredible phenomenon began to emerge. Internet users began reporting frightening encounters with emaciated, pale, hairless humanoids that, for the most part, crawled on all fours. Some witnesses and online commenters attempted to associate these entities with Native American mythology, often without understanding the specific cultural context behind these traditions. Many labeled them as, I'm not going to say the name, but you know the name, shifters, a term rooted in Navajo belief involving witches or medicine men said to possess the ability to transform. And this reminds me, I don't know why I don't say, the name, because, you're not supposed to say the name, whatever. And I figured if it's something the Indians did, it's not like they've lived here for thousands of years already and they're, kind of used to the crap that goes on or whatever because they've lived here for thousands of years. It seems like if the natives say, hey, don't do that, it's a good idea to, hey, don't do that. But anyway, there's the English translation of, the shifters, and then there is the Navajo word for it. And one time, this is completely unrelated, really, but one time I had that word stuck in my head. Like, you get a term or a word or something stuck in your head and you just keep kind of repeating it over and over again until it doesn't really make any sense. Like, you can do that, think of a word, keep thinking about it, and it doesn't make any sense anymore or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just retarded. But anyway, I had the Navajo word for shifters stuck in my head, and I was just kind of mumbling it, whatever, walking around, and I was doing something outside, and it was nighttime, of course, as it would be. I'm out here in the pitch black, just, saying the words you don't say, and just, like, blah, 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 and then I remembered, like, something just snapped in my head, and it's like, oh, I know what that word is, and then I remembered, like, oh, I had done messed up, but I didn't die. None of them appeared. They could probably hear me, saying their name over and over again. It just really pissed them off. But anyway, none of them killed me, so I guess I shouldn't be, shaming that word and not saying it, because I've said it a lot before without knowing. And none of them came to kill me. And then there's stuff like Wendigo that you're also not supposed to say, and for some reason I say it. I guess I feel cocky because they're farther north, but then again, shifters are supposed to only be, farther, the other direction, west is what it's called. But anyway, I don't know. I guess it's because they're smarter that I don't like them. Ah, no, the website crashed again. Yeah, anyway, there's that. I don't remember what I was saying, but I rambled too long and my tablet turned off, and then it wouldn't load the Fams and Monsters article again. So, anyway, where was I? Others compare them to the Wendigo, a malevolent, cannibalistic spirit from Cree and Algonquin traditions. Still, others begin using newer terms such as fleshgates and crawlers. The latter likely influenced by modern horror films and internet mythology, including the fictional Rake, which I'm going to have to do an episode on the Rake and where that came from and how it's become something else, and tulpas, but which I don't put a lot of weight in, but I guess if I did, they would be real. That's tulpa puns. Anyway, it's so stupid. The reports detailed in the book offer varied glimpses into the strange phenomena. Are these humanoids actual corporeal beings, somehow manifested by the human mind and perceived by others? Or are they modern myth form given power through repetition, fear, and expectation? Or are we witnessing scattered encounters with unknown and monstrous humanoid species? What are your thoughts on this phenomena? Lon. Phenomena. That stupid song. But anyway. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I need to do an episode on the Rake. Maybe I need to do a decent crawler episode, because it's kind of the same, it kind of isn't, but it's something just like shifters and wendigos and crawlers and whatnot. It all gets lumped in together, like, it was 9 foot tall and it had a skull of a deer for a head. Well, that's not what it's supposed to look like anyway. Well, it was a shapeshifter. Well, that's not right, but that's not. You seen this nasty little skivvy dude crawling into the sewer. It was a shapeshifter. It was a crawler. It was a rake. Well, not really, but kind of. But anyway, it's convoluted crap, and I do like the theory that they are, like the uncanny valley theory, that these are something that was our predator a long time ago when we were, living in huts and beating rocks together and stuff like that. After the monkeys drank some fermented juice and magically thought of paying taxes or something, and then we became humans. But after that happened, and these entities are something that would hunt us. Maybe they don't anymore, because they were intelligent enough to realize that, oh yeah, these bastards invented capitalism, and they will wipe us out if they know that we exist. And so they are no longer, they made themselves scarce around humans. I also kind of like this theory that they are vampires. Like, not Bram Stoker-y, but like original way back stories of vampires, kind of like the Strigoi episode I did, kind of, without a lot of the legend stuff, that it's just this nasty little naked dude that runs around killing people. That's a very simplified version, but without all the mythology behind it and whatnot, that these things are some sort of human predator that decided that, or realized that, we don't make easy prey anymore, and that's why we don't see them very often. And of course, any kind of predator is going to be in a lot fewer numbers than its prey. Like you can have 500 rabbits to each mountain lion or something. So there was a mountain lion seen near where I am, like last week or something like that. And don't worry, Department of Conservation says those aren't here, guys. Don't worry. That one is it's a figment of your imagination. It's a tulpa, in fact. But anyway, just like how there's so few black bears, poor sad black bears. But then, granted, I've never seen one, but there's more bears than they say there is, and there is also mountain lions here that, oh yeah, not now and then they move through whatever, like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. Anyway, I don't know if there's wolves. I've never put much thought into that. Probably not. They're a lot more obnoxious, out doing wolf stuff than big cats. But anyway, nice thing about mountain lions is you don't have to worry about them until they've already crushed your skull, and by then you don't have to worry about them. But anyway, setting that aside, I don't know if I had anything else to talk about in this one, but how about bat-winged humanoid glides over Thornton Quarry? Wait, No. I haven't read this one yet. I was going to, and then I decided to space them out, and maybe you'll get edits of that at the end. I don't know. Thornton Quarry, Illinois, Chicago suburb. Encounter. Changed. Witnesses life. I read it all cool again. That's the way I read it the first time when I was going to record it, before I had issues, technical difficulties, if you will. Where is it? My name is Bob Anderson. Go Bob Anderson. I knew a Jeff Anderson, but he's in Colorado now. But anyway, hey Jeff, if you're listening, probably not. But you'd probably think I was crazy if you listened to this. And you're right, I am. But anyway, Bobby Anderson. I host the paranormal podcast and radio show Bob After Dark. Oh, geez, this is. I don't know, but it's Bob After Dark. Oh, I'm gonna have to check this out. Maybe I'll put a link in Bob After Dark. Hey, didn't we learn something new? I'll check that out. Where I talk about legends, lore, and supernatural. I'm also a paranormal investigator and cryptozoologist, and I believe I have seen what people call the Mothman. This happened sometime around 2016 or 2017. I was closing up at work one night, and at that point in my life, I was not in a good place. I was struggling badly, and that night felt like I had reached a breaking point. I got off work, and I was driving down I-80 towards Indiana, where I lived. Near the state line, outside Thornton Township, Illinois, there's this large rock quarry that the highway passes over. I was driving through that area near Calumet City at around 8:30 at night. Before the sighting, the music coming through my car radio had already started to feel strange. A lot of the songs seemed to be about staying alive, moving on, continuing forward. I remember hearing songs like the Bee Gees. Oh crap! I'm not gonna. Look at that! I practiced self-control, and I didn't start singing. Listen to the music. That song is so annoying, and I sometimes like annoying songs. I mean, I listen to the Beach Boys, but anyway, I'm not gonna start singing again. No, okay, you got your one. That's it. Before the sighting, Bee Gees and other upbeat songs and that kind of message. At the time, I did not want to hear it. I was upset, exhausted, and emotionally overwhelmed. Then my radio suddenly turned to static. Bits and pieces of music and sound were coming through, but the signal was broken. I became even more frustrated because it felt like one more thing going wrong on an already terrible night. I looked out towards the passenger side of the car, towards the quarry, and that was when I saw it. There was something hovering over the rock quarry. At first, I thought it might be a very large bat. In that area, strange animal sightings are not completely unheard of because of the nearby industrial zones, rail lines, oil refineries, and steel facilities. Some animals end up where they do not seem to belong. But this was not acting like a bat. It seemed to hold itself in place. It wasn't just flying past. It almost appeared to focus on the area where I was driving. I pulled over to the side of the road. 3 other motorists also pulled over. We did not speak at first. It was like all of us had seen the same thing and reacted at the same time. The figure was dark, with a body that seemed almost human in shape, but I would estimate it as around 5 to 6 feet tall. Though it was at a distance and the light was fading, it had large wings and with a wingspan of at least 6 feet, possibly larger. The body was not as bulky as an animal's. It looked toned, lean, and strangely human-like. If it had been standing on the ground, I would have expected it to walk upright. The wings were extended. I cannot say for certain whether they were flapping. I cannot say whether it was hovering, soaring, or somehow just holding itself in place. I just remember the wings, the human-like form, and the eyes. The eyes were red and glowing. Its body appeared dark, maybe black, gray, silver, or even brownish in places. It was difficult to make out the exact details because of the distance and the lighting, but its human-like quality stood out. I tried to get my phone out to take a picture. It felt like I had been watching it for a long time, but in reality it had only been a few moments. By the time I got my phone ready, it was gone. I cannot say whether it flew away or vanished. It was just simply no longer there. Afterward, one of the motorists looked at me and said something like, "That was a thing, wasn't it?" Afterward, one of the other motorists, I started to read that line. It's because I was so taken by the poetry of "that was a thing, wasn't it?" I think that's hilarious for some reason, but I agreed that that was indeed a thing. But I agreed that it was strange. Then the person told me they hoped I had a really good day. That simple kindness hit me hard. After everything I'd been feeling that night, those words overwhelmed me. I broke down emotionally. I did not fully know how to explain it. But the music, the sighting, the other witnesses, and that moment of kindness all felt connected somehow. Later, Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics and Annie Lennox came through the radio. I've never heard of this song before. The whole experience felt more than just seeing something strange in the sky. It felt meaningful. It felt like something had interrupted the course I was on. I do not know exactly what I saw, and I cannot say with certainty that it was Mothman, but I believe I saw a winged humanoid, and I do believe that it changed my life. Bob Anderson. So he's, cruising along, whatever, not having a good day, and then sees, for lack of a better term, Mothman up there hanging out, and stops, looks at it. Some other folks, stop, look at it, and other unnamed, I'll call him Bob, number 2, Bob the second, says, nice shirt, Bob, and then they part ways, and then Bob feels better, thanks to Mothman. So that's a pretty cool story. I don't know why I can't talk, but I'm gonna have to check out Bob's podcast. I already forgot the name of it, but I know I said it, so I'll be able to look at it. You can go back and hear it and remind yourself of it and words or something I'm supposed to be saying. I apologize, I lost my train of thought. It has left the yard. Northbound train, southbound track. He's already leaving, but he won't be back. Rock online. Cash with his hot and blue guitar. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going on about, but how about human-like lichen stalks jogger near eucalyptus plantation in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I had no idea eucalyptus was in Brazil. That's weird. I thought, I'm pretty sure it comes from Australia, but I guess they can plant things on other continents that don't come from that continent. Wow. Wow, that was so genius. That is indeed a thing. He laughed and then he died. I don't remember what episode that was from. My father likes to go to the sports club at the local university where he teaches. He uses the facility to run and exercise. There's a large athletic area with swimming pools. That's how I talk now. I just pick a random word and just make a sound instead of actually enunciating it. With swimming pools, soccer fields, basketball courts, and other recreational spaces. He still goes there every now and then. The sports club is located near the exit toward the town, close to where we live in the state of Sao Paulo, Brazil. My father usually walks there and takes a shortcut trail that climbs up a ravine and runs past a large eucalyptus plantation. By using this shortcut, he avoids walking another half-kilometer uphill in the main entrance. What the hell is a kilometer? Many people use this path. I had to make that joke, including local employees. It's not really a joke, though. But still. One day, he went out for a run later than usual. Again, my train of thought just gone. He went out later than usual, around 6:30 p.m. About an hour later, the sun had already gone down, and there were only a few minutes of daylight left. He was exhausted and decided to return by the same shortcut that he used. He did not think that it would be much of a problem because the full moon was already high in the sky. He reached the edge of the woods. He noticed a figure. I don't know where I got small from, but just a figure standing among the eucalyptus trees. At first, it looked like a horse inside the plantation. He ignored it and kept walking, wondering whether he should tell someone. There are farms in the area, and some local farmers owned horses, so it did not seem impossible. As he continued along the trail, he began feeling uneasy, as if he was being watched. The feeling grew stronger with every step. After a short distance, he realized that this horse seemed to be walking alongside him from inside the trees. He looked again and saw that the figure was now behind a tree. That struck him as strange. Why would a horse be hiding? Even more unsettling, it appeared to be standing in a way that kept the tree between them, as if it was deliberately using the trunk for cover. And I don't know about horses, but donkeys will do this just out of spite, just out of pure malice, just to make you look, like freaking 300-pound donkey. Where can it hide? One tree. Bastard vanishes behind that one tree. You see like a little fat belly sticking out, maybe some ear hair or something. How does he know? How does he, this thing has like a brain the size of an apple. How does it understand that it can hide from me behind that? But it does. It's just out of pure malice of their heart. He tried to shake out the feeling. That's the right part. He tried to shake out the feeling and kept moving down the trail. He was already about halfway down when the fear became much more intense. He looked again toward the figure, and his eyes adjusted to the darkness. He could see it more clearly. It no longer looked like a horse. He saw the animal jump from behind one tree to another. The way it moved made it look like a very tall and powerful person. My father stopped in shock and stared at it. It remained behind the tree, partially hidden. He noticed something swinging from it. What he had first thought was the horse's tail now looked more like the lower part of a long coat worn by a man. The darkness of the shadows of the branches made it difficult to understand exactly what he was seeing. He decided to ignore it and continue, telling himself that maybe it was his imagination that was getting the better of him. But there was a problem. At the end of the trail, the path he was on and the animal's direction would eventually cross. That realization made him panic. He decided to turn back toward the field and take the avenue instead. As he started walking back, he kept his eyes on the figure. For a moment, he even wondered if it might be a friend trying to scare him. As he moved back towards the sports field, where the lights were now on, he could see the silhouette even better. It was a massive, muscular thing with a hunched back. It appeared to be covered in thick fur and have pointed ears. He stopped in disbelief. The creature continued moving towards him, no longer seeming as concerned about hiding. That was when his blood ran cold. The animal was approaching from the side, as if it was trying to cut him off or trap him. My father tried not to run, as he did not want to attract attention or appear like prey, so he fast-walked back to the field, putting distance between himself and the trail. Then he took one last look. The creature was still there. It was crouched low in the bushes on all fours like a gorilla. It looked I apologize. I know this is either translated from Spanish or English is this guy's second language or whatever, but the words keep throwing me off. But then again, I'm not very good with words either. It was crouched low in the bushes on all fours like a gorilla. It looked like a huge human dog. When they were about 100 meters apart, my father finally ran towards the main entrance of the avenue. He was relieved when he realized the animal had not followed him. He returned home by the avenue, still on high alert and terrified by what had happened. Now every time he goes out there, he makes sure he does not stay past dusk. H.G. So he's, this guy's old man's out, walking along, whatever, sees this thing, thinks, oh, it's just a horse that's just randomly moving around through this eucalyptus plantation that's here for some reason, and, it's hiding behind trees, as horses are wont to do, and then, he sees it like, oh, it's I'm not sure if it's, like, wearing clothes, like, freaking Lon Chaney Jr., Wolfman, like it's still got clothes on it, or if it's like if it murdered somebody, if Dick Tracy was out there playing around and it killed him and now it's just carrying around his coat for giggles. I don't know if it's something like that, but then he thinks again, yeah, cool, natural horrors beyond my comprehension. I think I'm just going to walk back the way I came. And then he finally decides it might be something to get worked up about when he sees oh yeah, that is indeed a monster, that shouldn't exist, and it's probably trying to rip my throat out. And then he beats feet back to I guess the main road, and it couldn't follow him there for some reason. It didn't want to be seen, you would suppose. But anyway, that's that. I think that's the last story I'm going to do because I am kind of tight for time, but I still got you 45 minutes of my rambling. I think this was a pretty good episode. I referenced Johnny Cash at least once, so there's something. But anyway, I don't think I've really got anything. Hopefully, I should be able to put a link to the Cemetery Shrooms podcast, which I will be on in my time in about 30 minutes. In your time, you could go listen to it first if you wanted to, and then listen to me, and it would be like time travel. Wow. But you probably won't, because you may not know it exists yet, even though I told you last week, but it's not up yet because there's not any episodes yet. But I'm about to change that. We're going to in about a half hour yet. I thought I'd add yet because I've been saying that a lot yet. But anyway, so there's that yet. And Cemetery Shrooms podcast, check it out. And Bob Anderson's podcast, Bob After Dark, I think that's what it was called, but I may be wrong. But anyway, and yeah, I think that's about it. It seems like I had something else to talk about, but hell if I know. Random labor done for free, evidently call me, but no, I'm kidding. It's just, it seems that way. But anyway, if I do something and you don't pay me, I'll just steal something of equal value, so it's cool. But anyway, or I will just cause property damage of equal or lesser value, because I think that's fair. Like, how much is this hose reel? That was $30. Okay, that pays for half of my work here. Could you buy another one? Because I'm going to steal them, just so you can't have them. Anyway, I hate hose reels. I wouldn't do that because I hate hose reels. They're garbage. Anyway, glory be to God. No. Bye. Just a little bye. That's all you get this episode, little one. Little easy bye. I was also playing with chainsaws. Chainsaws are a lot of fun.
To see what they can find. The three kings of the thicket, looking for the beast of myth, bound by the brotherhood and the mystery therewith. They're talking Bigfoot sightings and the tracks within the mud. It's written in the limestone and it's pumping through their blood, broadcasting from the wilderness where the cell light fades to black. Once you hear the banjo ring, there ain't no turning back. He's the backwoods boogeyman on a frequency of gold, searching for the stories that the elders never told. Between the dogman's howl and the howler's lonely cry, he's chasing down the phantoms underneath the Ozark sky. Yeah, he's chasing down the phantoms underneath the Ozark sky. Strap the copper to the Hudson, let the banjo lead the way. We'll find the Bigfoot walking at the breaking of the day. Just another mountain mystery for the boys to understand. Walking with the boogeyman across the Ozark land. Yeah, we're walking with the boogeyman across the Ozark land.
Ben's chainsaw, little bitty guy, but surprisingly effective. But anyway, Beeben's chainsaw. And I think, is it gonna load? Yes, it is. Wow, that was so smooth. I'm impressed. Bat-winged humanoid glides over Thornton Quarry, Illinois, in Chicago suburb. Encounter changed witness's life. I read that very, very coolly. Very. It's not the word I was trying to say. Anyway. Oh, come on. Why are you not loading? It's not loading. It's giving me troubles. Come on. It's thinking about it. I know you're not loaded all the way. You're just seized up. It's been doing this. It's giving me problems. What you're doing, this is very confusing. I have no idea at all.